Hello Space Engineers, Wellington6012 here, and welcome to Pertam. Yes, so this is the Escaping the Desert Pertam. I've deleted much of the things that are on Pertam, but it's still the game save underneath. So today I wanted to do something that I've been promising to do for a long time, and been putting off, and yeah, today I'm finally getting around to it. So what it is a little bit of an explanation slash tutorial slash guide on how I set up Pertam in regards to the rare ores that are on this planet. Yeah, and also just a little bit of an explanation about how, in general, that works, how the data files work, how the mat files, or map, but they're mat files, how that all works. Like what I did for Ares Colony, and what I'm going to do for my next series, which is called Close to Home, and that's probably a little while off yet, but I am actually going to start streaming the making of the scenario, so see if we can get people to help out with that. Yeah, so that's going to have a mod, and that's a mod that I've created called Oreless Planets. I can actually show you that as well. This is unscripted, by the way, so just bear with me. So I'm in my blue suit as well, so it's Future Wellington. I've decided to put it on Future Wellington's channel. Let's just bring up Oreless Planets. So this is a mod that that I've already uploaded, I should say, and I'm just getting ready to release, so I just need to put a bit of a description in there. But I'll explain how that works. And yeah, so in the blue suit, because I have got this on Future Wellington's channel instead of my main channel, this is something I've been thinking about whether I do or not, whether I share these files, and I will be sharing them. And the reason is that I'm not an expert on this. I am altering game files, data files. So yeah, a little bit of warning, a little bit of a disclaimer. Just be careful if you decide to do this. I'm not encouraging you to do this. Use backups, be safe. You know, I just don't want to be responsible for breaking your game. I don't think I will, but you know, it is just a bit of a concern of mine. I'm not, as I say, I'm not an expert on this sort of stuff. But hopefully I can show you enough bits and pieces that you understand how some of the things work. And from what I've sort of discovered and found out. So yeah, that's just what I'm looking at doing today, sharing that. Right, so here we are on Pertam. I've already said that. And yeah, so on Pertam we've got, of course, let me go into the spectator cam. Ooh, that's a bit quick. Okay, so we've got the large iron deposits. So I designed it this way that once I found an iron deposit, one of these big ones, it would be worthwhile putting the various infrastructure under the ground. And yeah, they're pretty rare. They haven't actually spawned as often as I was anticipating. I probably should have found one before now. And yeah, that's just to do with the way that the map sort of works. I should say the mat files. Even though you get, you might have ores potentially going into a certain place, doesn't mean that they actually will. And yeah, so if I think there is a close by. I think that gold there is quite close by. Well, 14 kilometers. So yeah, that was one of the large ones. And this one here is one of the smaller ones. And that looks like an access tunnel. Oh yeah, there we go. So there we go there. Whereas if we were to go to the Earth-like planet, and I've got this here just because I think this is a good spot. Okay. And then, so we've got ore deposits here. there's one there, there's one over there, and there's one there. And these ore deposits... Okay, I need to spawn a elite tendril. Okay, so we can do the old... There we go. Okay, so we can now scan this. So we've got magnesium, nickel, and there's usually a third one. Magnesium, nickel... Okay, maybe it's just magnesium and nickel. Silicon. I saw silicon. Yes, silicon. So, 3 things there, and you know, fairly big deposits, quite a bit of them. Probably not that deep. On Pertam, my deposits are sort of the 100 to 150 meter mark, whereas these are a lot shallower. Here we've got gold, and gold normally has silver or magnesium with it on Earth-like. And the fact that I'm not finding anything probably means that it's silver, because silver's normally quite... Oh yeah, look, there's silver, and it's quite deep, it's 60 meters, but not very deep compared to my Pertam. So, I mean, yeah, there we go, without even looking very far, and that was just totally random, those ore patches. I've pretty much got everything that I need to get going. I just need iron, and I know that that ore patch over there is iron, so yeah. So just my random start location, it was a random start location, I've got everything I need within a kilometre, or 500 metres even. So yeah, that's why I sort of adapted things and tried to make life a little bit more difficult for me in regards to finding ores and refining. So because I think it's good to have a bit of a logistical challenge to actually have to carry this stuff for a while, and then also just having it a little bit further away and having to actually find it. And yeah, so that's why I've done what I've done. Now there are mods out there that you can use. I think there's one called Deeper Ores, which makes them all deeper, and there's one that's rarer. There's also one that you can get that just has certain ores on certain planets, and like I think Earth doesn't have any cobalt or doesn't have any magnesium, and you need to go up to other planets to get that sort of stuff. So what I've done is for my upcoming series, close to home, I'm actually using a mod which I've created called Oreless Planets, which I just showed you before, and then that removes all the ore patches off all the planets in the system that came with the original planets update. So that's, let me just bring this over again. So that's this mod here that I've created, and I'll explain how I created it in a second. And yeah, so it removes all the ore from the Earth-like, the Moon, Mars, Europa, Alien Planet, and Titan. It doesn't remove it from Triton, and it doesn't remove it from Pertam, because they are DLC planets and they have a separate file, which I'll show you momentarily as well. So the idea is that with the game that I've set up, the scenario that I'm setting up for close to home, is I've removed all the ores, and instead I've just got one place for each of the ores that I've put in myself using the voxel hands. So these are the voxel hands. You need to be in creative mode to use them, and you can right click and get rid of stone or ice or whatever, voxel I should say, and then using the square brackety keys we can scroll through the different types. Now just down the bottom right hand corner of my HUD, you can see that I'm scrolling through the different voxel materials, And we'll go all the way across to one of the ores. One of the ores. We have platinum. Okay. So that's it there. So now I've set that up, and that's the platinum. So that is the only platinum that is on this planet, because platinum doesn't spawn on the Earth-like. So I've got rid of all the ores, all the ore deposits, and yeah, I've put each of the ore types in its own like mine, so the player's going to have to discover them as they go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stream some of the making of the scenario, and I'll link that at the end of this episode, so you can join in and see what I'm up to if you want. It will be a spoiler if you're intending to play the scenario when I eventually publish it. But yeah, so that's something that I'm going to start very shortly. So again, I'll link that at the end of this episode. So that's that. So now if we look at how the ores are set up. So what I'm going to do is first of all bring up where the data file location is. So bring this across. So we're looking on your local drive and into your program files, down into Steam, and then down into Steam apps, common, space engineers, content, data. Okay, so this is the one of the main sort of folders, and quite often when you get a mod that alters things, it potentially is one of these files that it's altering. So my mod is altering the planet generator definitions. Okay, so by creating my mod and installing the mod in your game, it basically replaces this file and uses that one instead. So if we go into planet generator, I'll show you some of the things that I've done. Now first of all, this one is for the Earth-like. So this first set is for the Earth-like. It's repeated for all the other planet types, except, let me just go back into here, except for Pertam, which is right there, and Triton, which is right there. Okay, so if I wanted to alter those, I would need to do those files. Well, I could maybe put it in there, but I don't think so. Okay, so there's two. I'll explain some of the things that I did to both Pertam and just for the mod. So we go through the Earth-like. This all kind of makes sense. I don't think you need to really be necessarily a programmer to sort of understand some of this stuff. But what we've got here is, for my mod to remove the ores from the planets, it was just a case of changing that to false. Okay, so changing that to false removes the ores. Then this is all about how the different land formations sort of come up and what should be on them. And then if we look at these, this is to do with the ore mappings. And for Pertam at least, I don't think I changed these, but for Pertam, yeah, I think it has a different sort of setup. And if we keep going, so this is all just what covers the hills and covers the land, basically. This is so this explains to the game what goes where and how deep it is and all sorts of things. And if we keep going down, so this is still how the game interprets the mat files, or the map files, which I'll show you momentarily. So yeah, still more. So this is all about how deep things go. Okay. Right. Then we get into the environment items. Now, this line here, which includes voxel map storage definition. This is the boulders with ore. So I got rid of these off of Ares Colony by removing these out of this data file. I worked this out because Pertam doesn't have boulders. Well, it does have some boulders, but not the ones that have got iron or ore in them. It's just got some little ones. So yeah, I removed this. Now, I've also removed this out of my mod, the Oreless Planets. If you just want boulders removed, there is a mod already out there, which is called No Boulders by Thalia. And I assume that they've done the same thing as what I did to remove the boulders from the planet. Yeah, they can see there, that's what they've done. So I haven't published a No Boulders mod because this one already exists. So this mod I will link in the video description below, and I'll also obviously link my mod as well. So that is what creates the boulders. Okay. So if we go, and if we just keep going down, we'll come to the other planets. So which one's this? The alien planet. So again, ores, and yeah, you can. This is the depth and how thick the ore is. Okay, so the different irons will be different depths and different thicknesses. So you can see the deeper it is, generally the thicker the deposit. I haven't quite figured out how the color references work, but we'll come back to that because they're all the same reference, which is a bit strange. If you wanted to edit, say for argument's sake, you wanted to edit your alien planet to have uranium on it, then you could basically copy this and paste it and have have uranium written in there. So that's one way you could do that. Potentially you could just copy it from one of the moons to get where the platinum is. So if we were to do a search, maybe platinum, so there you go. So that's on one of the moons. You could copy that and paste it into your alien planet and do the same for uranium. So that's just a little bit about how they work. Let's just close that. Now if I go into I've got a backed up version, so that Pertam there is my Pertam, which I've changed certain things, which I'll show you on a backed up version. Let me just grab that for you. Oh, didn't open it. So this is the original version. And yeah, if we go through, so you can see it's all just in a little bit of a different format. That's why I was a little bit confused, but you can see the depth there. So we've got 25, 28, whereas my version of it, you can see I put them a lot deeper, but also a lot thicker as well. Okay, except the cobalt. So we've got, depth, we've got 10, 30, 30 cobalt, 40, 62, some real deep stuff. Silver ranges, and then depths are either 3 or 4 or 5. On my one, they're more like 4, 3, 2 for the silver, so getting pretty narrow. Iron's pretty thick, and as you can see, a lot deeper. So that's how I adjusted that. And then if we keep going down, the other thing I did was to remove the ice from underneath the oasis. So if we just keep scrolling down, let's just find it. So sand, Destroyable items. So those are the rocks that I was talking about. So there are rocks that certain people dressed in orange have crashed into online. Because they've spawned in under their vehicles as driving over the top of them. But yeah, so that's the small rocks. So if you wanted to remove those rover killing rocks off Pertam, that's them there. But as you can see, they're just a small stone. They don't have any stuff in them, any ores in them. Okay, and then if we keep going, just trying to find the ice. Surface. Okay, I might do a bit of a search. Okay, so here we go. Soil. So this will be that wet soil that you find on Pertam, and you can see it's got a name soil, and it's so deep. And then you've got ice, so it shows you the ice, the depth. And then, so dusty rocks, green grass, so that's your oasis. Okay, and there you can see the ice underneath the grass. So by deleting that line, and by deleting the other line, this one here, there is no longer any ice under the wet patches or under the oasis. So that's how I got rid of the ice off Pertam. Oh, there's the oasis ice there. So yeah, you can see it there. Okay. Yeah, and that's more. So I just got rid of all of those. Easy peasy. So that's how I altered my Pertam from the data file perspective. So we'll close that. Now I'll show the map files. So if we go up here and we go into the planet data files, so for each of the planets, we'll start off with the Earth-like, and we've got these mat files. So if we look at one of the mats, excuse my ancient version of Photoshop, but I'm very comfortable using this one. You can see there's little patches there. If we go into the channels and we just focus on the blue channel, which was referenced in the data files, it said focus on the blue channel. And if we zoom in, we can see these are the ore patches. So yeah, quite a few of them. And yeah, you can see that there's actually different shades of grey. Now the shade of grey relates to what ore it would be. And you just need to, how I did it is I sort of put different shades of grey on a flat surface on Pertam, and I was able to sort of figure out what different colours were. Essentially, the light colours are your basic ones, like your nickel and silicon, and then your sort of darker ones go to iron and magnesium and cobalt, and then the really dark ones are the golds and your silvers. And yeah, so that's how I was able to do that on Pertam, which I will show you my file for that. But yeah, so that's how they're spread out. Not every one of those will spawn an ore patch on a planet, and I found that out with my spawns with my Pertam, is that my ores were very rare and they didn't necessarily reflect, because they were probably, each one was about 5 kilometers apart, it felt like. But in reality, my ore patches that I put on this type of file is probably more like 1 kilometer apart, maybe a little bit longer. Certainly, they should have been closer than what they were in reality. And as I say, the iron, the large patches, a lot of them didn't spawn, and yeah, silver was pretty few and far between, that's for sure. So when I did my Ares colony on Mars, I altered the Mars one, and basically I just got the eraser and I got rid of, maybe I'll use a white paintbrush, and I just got rid of a whole lot and just reduced significantly the amount that there was. And so that's how I sort of altered Mars for Ares colony. Yeah, so that's that. I won't save that. No. And so the files, if we go back into them, there's 6 files. Now this is the height map. So white is high and black is low. So this will be mountainous terrain and these will be the deserts. So height maps, yeah, not unique to this game. So yeah, so if you were making a planet, you could alter these. I won't save that. So there's six maps. Now there's also this one, which is, it kind of, I don't actually know how this works. It reflects the ore patches in the red spectrum. So I did alter this for my Pertam, that I copied essentially the background, so everything but the ore patches, and I was able to paste it into here and essentially duplicate what I had on the matte file, and just delete the ore patches to give this hole, which when you put it in the red, it turns red. So I don't quite understand how that works in the grand scheme of things. But if we go back into here, yeah, we've got 6 for each planet. So these get put together as a cube, and then that cube gets stretched over a globe. And I'll show you what I mean. If you do a bit of Googling and Google Space Engineers planet, Earth-like planet map image, then this is on Reddit. And yeah, this there's a few out there. There's a few different images. I think this one explains probably the best how the sort of setup works. So you can see these are the 6 files. So that's probably left, that's probably front, and that's probably right, or around the other way, and that's probably back. I would say that's probably front. Yeah, so front, right, left, back. This will be up, and this will be down. And so you can fold these to make a cube. And as I say, that cube will stretch over a globe. So you can see that these are a little bit deformed. So these will probably have to stretch, because that distance from there to there is more or less the same from there to there as well. So it's stretched that, or squash that. So yeah, and that's why you get sometimes the sort of seam lines. Yeah. So if we zoom in, this has actually got a lot of the ore deposits in here as well, so you can just see how common they are. They really are super common. And yeah, so but that gives you an idea of how certain squares do get stretched quite a bit. So you can see, especially up the poles, that they do get stretched quite a lot, which is why the terrain maybe is a little bit different up there. So that's how that works, and it's the same for all the planets. Okay, so let's get rid of that, and let's go into now the Pertam ones. Now these are the ones that I'm sharing on Google Drive. I've got a shared folder in there, so I'll put a link in the description below. And yeah, so if we go into one of these, so again we've got the height maps, and you can see quite visibly, we'll go into this one here, quite visibly the canyon that runs around the map. And then these are the canyons. These are a little bit of the highlands. These will be very consistent colour there. That's the flat lakes. So that's the height map. Then if we go into the mat, so there's a lot more data on here in regards to sand and grass and all those sorts of things. That's what it seems to be to me anyway. So this purple colour is the sand dunes. Now the ores, there are no ores underneath the sand dunes. If I was to go into the blue channel, you can see there's some of my big iron mines, iron deposits, and you can just see how sparse my other deposits are. Okay, so the dark ones are probably silver or gold, and the lighter ones are probably are probably iron. So that's how I've reduced the amount of resource on my planet, on my Pertam. So if we go back into here, and yeah, so you can see the light blue will be the lakes, and yeah, then we've got the canyons and all sorts. So yeah, that's those. So it's a little bit of a different kind of format for Pertam, how that's set up. But yeah, so those are just, again, these are in the data, in the planet data files, and in your Pertam. So if you were going to use mine, then I would copy this folder, or even just rename it, and put the new folder in with the new map files. And every game that you load, Pertam will have those files. Whereas if I could figure out how to actually make a mod of this, then you could just install the mod and the original files would always be on there. So, as I say, I'm not that experienced, so I can't do that. So yeah, so that's essentially how I did it. As I say, not all the ore patches did spawn. As I say, very light on the ground with silver, and yeah, a lot of these iron ones didn't spawn, so maybe I just had slightly the wrong shade of grey. Yeah, I'm not too sure why it didn't happen, but yeah, that's that. So let's get out of there. Yeah, so I think really that's kind of everything. I think I've covered everything off. I guess if there's any questions, just jump into the comments section. There's also Discord, or yeah, jump into one of my live streams, which I know will be tricky for a lot of the planet to join in, because here on the bottom other side of the world from everybody else, time zones don't normally work. But yeah, so happy to help out where I can, and yeah, that's that. So hopefully you got something out of that, and yeah, I'll put links in the description for the Google Drive for those Pertam files. I'll put the links to my mod and Thea's mod for that. I'll put a link at the end of the video for the streaming making of Close to Home, and yeah, so with that, hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks everybody for watching, and until next time, stay safe out there everybody, and have a good one.